Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Ah, yes, the sound of joy as we return. You missed us, didn't you? A little bit of a delay. I was going through some of my work today, and last Thursday, Sense and Nonsense was June 3rd, so this is June 24th. Actually, it's June 23rd when we're doing it. Because we just watched Germany pull a draw out of the fire in the European Championships,
Woo!
making Joe very happy, so they advanced to the knockout stage of a tournament that has been just, for anybody who has even if you're just a sports fan, I would think, but there's a lot of people who just don't like soccer. I get that. But if you're even the slightest soccer fan, it's been just soccer heaven. 3 games a day, every day. You have to decide which ones to watch. National intensity because you're playing for your national team. Really, really, really wonderful. And there, he's cranking it up. And we're going to start among the many other things we're going to do, and Joe has promised an epic fact check as well. We're going to start a new feature where we're going to test the same beer, and give it a little grade. And so that's among the things we will be doing today on Thirsty Thursday, Sense and Nonsense. An epic fact check, and then Lord knows wherever that leads. That's usually the thing that happens on Thirsty Thursday. So come aboard. I hope you're a regular. If you're not, spread the word of what a bunch of absolute joy this is. Joy, knowledge, laughs, silliness, all rolled into one. That is Thirsty Thursdays, Sense and Nonsense.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Time to spend a few minutes with my good friend Jeff Dillon from Dillon's Heating and Cooling. And Jeff, what differentiates your company from others in the industry?
Plain and simple, we're honest. We have integrity, and we're going to do things right the first time. There's way too many companies out there that lie, cheat, hide things from the homeowner or customer, and we're not about that. It's kind of funny sometimes. I actually am so honest with some people, it kind of surprises them. But sometimes it's good for business, sometimes it's bad for business. But ultimately, it's the kind of business that I want to run, is an honest one.
And that family way of treating things is part of your slogan, and it's also part of one of your great features that you offer to customers.
Our slogan is like family. Our most popular maintenance plan is called the Family Plan. It's very similar to a lot of ones out there. The little tweak that we do to ours, 1% off for every 2 years. They have a continued maintenance plan with us. If they have a maintenance plan for 10 years, then we give them 5% off. No questions asked.
You can find out more about Dillon's Heating and Cooling and all their great range of services at dillonsheatingandcooling.com. That's Dillon's with an S. The phone number, 913-214-1343. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. Let's have a brief conversation with David Schmidt from Pro Millennial. David, what differentiates you from other financial organizations?
I would say the passion we have for seeing our clients succeed is probably paramount to what we do here. There's no joy greater than watching a client accumulate wealth. I had a client that I've had for many years was able to buy his dream warehouse. Nothing too extravagant, but we had a savings plan in place and was able to see him fulfill his dreams.
And what else motivates you in this industry?
Well, lately it's been finding out inconsistencies in the marketplace, ferreting out some more than questionable ideas out there that what we're seeing with Bitcoin and a few of these other cryptocurrencies right now. I'm of the opinion where if it's untraceable, it really needs to be regulated in a big way right now.
To get more information and advice from David, visit promillennial.com or call 816-221-7775. That's 816-221-7775. 7775. I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson & Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
All right, Danny, we're back. So this is a Defiance Brewing Company.
All right.
And the name of the beer is With Friends.
Aha.
And it describes itself as an ambitious beer.
Aha. And it has little musical notes on the can.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
Tell me what you think. Did you take the tab off of it?
I did.
Oh, good.
Sitting right there. That is smooth.
It's very smooth.
And what style of beer is it?
It's an ambitious beer.
So it's not it is. It's an American Pale Ale.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that an IPA?
I don't know, Danny.
I don't know either necessarily. I guess
I think it's good.
I think it's good too.
I'm going to give it a...
I think this might be, it almost doesn't have the snap of a pale ale.
Yeah.
Which maybe some people wouldn't necessarily like, but I think I like it both ways. I like one that's a little more...
you like it both ways,
A little
huh?
more earthy. I like it all ways, really.
You know what?
Just one side of the ballpark.
You know what? I like this because it's not too much. It's not too hoppy, but it's got some beer flavor, but it's not like...
I totally agree. This almost seems like a cross between a lager and a pale ale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this guy a 7.7. That's where I'm going.
You know, you do have to. People always, I think, overgrade things.
Uh-huh.
You got to leave room for true, astounding
Greatness.
excellence.
That's
so
right.
I'll just go a shred below you at 7.6.
Oh.
So we basically agree.
Yeah.
We basically agree on the Defiance with Friends.
Yeah. So, somebody tweet at him and tell him to send us some because we gave it a good rating.
There you go. Absolutely.
All right, Danny, are you ready for this?
You have to talk about, I brought you a little present today.
Oh, you did? So we were finishing up watching the Germany game.
Which they pulled out, 12 minutes to go? They
pulled it out of the fire.
To get a draw.
Which
Which
take.
is all they needed.
But Danny brought me this Elysian Full Contact
Hazy.
Imperial Hazy IPA, which was a budget beer.
Well, it's not a budget beer. Elysian is a fine company, but I'll give them another plug. Justin's Liquors, which has a couple locations, but the one is near my home in Shawnee. One of the reasons I go there is because very often they have overruns right when you walk into the store, and a 6-pack of that, which it's probably an $8.99 beer, it was $3.99.
Oh, I bet it was more than $8.90. That's $4 for a 6-pack of that.
Yeah,
and it's 9% or something.
8.8%.
Danny's like trying to get me to slur my speech on the fact check here.
No, I just brought you a little present. Allows me to give a little shout to Justin's, and because I know that everybody can use a bargain.
Absolutely.
These days, especially beer. I mean, the beer prices are just crazy. We've talked about that before.
Well, thank God Germany pulled it out of the fire, because I got my German national team kit on here, and I was going to be in a bad mood for this had they crapped it away.
Yeah, I mean they were. This was at home against Hungary. I mean,
don't Hungary's played well in this tournament.
They have played well.
They deserve to move on as well as they've played. I mean, just think about being...
Group of death.
Yes, think about being a Hungary fan. You're in a group with... And if you're not a soccer fan, we'll get over this in a second. But they're in a group of 4. Think about being in a pod in the NCAA tournament or something. And they got to play Germany, Portugal, and France. Okay, so like 3 of the powerhouses on the planet in soccer. And, they really held their own. They looked great against Portugal, and they gave up the 3 late goals. But
if they'd played like they played in a different pod,
they'd have won it.
Definitely advanced, or maybe won it. So, all right, we'll move past soccer now.
Okay.
There you go. You get your dose of soccer if you like it, and if you don't, well, there you go.
Yeah, just hit fast forward, I guess. Okay, it's fact check time, Danny. Are you excited?
I'm very excited because circumstances conspired against us last week, but you said, but the fact check's going to be epic, I believe was the text. So.
Well, I love the movie The Day After, and I love the idea about it, like everything that's so cool about it, right? And so we talked about that.
The famous television movie for people haven't heard from the 1980s that was filmed at KU.
So it was filmed in 1983.
Apocalyptic
Yes.
film.
And it was the 7th highest rated non-sports show of all time when it aired, okay? Everybody watched this thing. It was seen on its initial broadcast by 100 million viewers.
In other words, an audience that nothing gets now, even the Super Bowl.
Even
we talked
the
about
Super Bowl.
With
more population.
Yeah, 90 million. Yeah, with more population now.
So one of the things...
That's what network TV was like.
Exactly. One of the things that's interesting about it is it aired in the Soviet Union in 1987. Congress, got together and tried to get the Soviet Union to air it, and they did. And I thought that was pretty interesting, and it helped in this TV movie, helped in the Cold War in a lot of ways, and I'm going to give you some of those ways.
Wow.
First of all, Steve Guttenberg was in it. And I mean, who doesn't love the Goot, right?
Who got his start, basically became famous in Diner, one of my favorite movies.
Well, I mean, Police Academy, come on.
Yeah, well, I didn't. I think I saw one of those.
Oh my God, you didn't watch the Police Academy movies?
I watched one.
When I was a kid,
that was
loved
enough.
It.
Yeah,
loved
that's the phrase that you needed there. When I was a kid, I was an adult when it came out.
Okay, so one of the things they did on purpose is that in the movie, when the nuclear strike happens between the Soviets and the U.S., they don't ever say who shot first, and they did that on purpose to not make the Soviets a villain, which I thought is pretty neat in 1983 when the Soviets are the villain, right?
Right.
For everybody. And so ABC made them edit the movie like crazy, okay? So initially it was going to be 4 hours, and they made them take a bunch of stuff out. They made them take out a bunch of burn victims, and they made the damage from the nuclear strike not so severe. And there was fights at KU between the athletes and the science students, athletes versus nerds, right? And they took all of that out, and they took out a scene where a girl uses a diaphragm.
Oh, boy. Well, it was network TV in 1983. I guess that's not all that surprising.
This is the part that's the most interesting to me. So U.S. President Ronald Reagan at the time, right? He watched it about a month before it came out. They, did a screening for him because it was a big deal. That's how big of a deal it was, right? They ran promos for this movie for 5 months before they put it on TV. That's how much they pushed it.
Right, big star. Jason Robards was in it. And,
yeah,
big stuff.
I mean, Gutenberg was in it. So, anyway, Reagan later wrote in his diary, or after he watched it, he wrote in his diary that the film was, quote, very effective and left me greatly depressed, and that it changed his mind on the prevailing policy on a nuclear war. And I mean, you got to think, this is Reagan, who was very influenced by movies because he's Ronald Reagan. But they also screened the film for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and a government advisor who attended the screening told the guy that made the movie, his last name was Meyer. He told him, quote, if you wanted to draw blood, you did it. Those guys sat there like they were turned to stone.
Wow.
So all of these we're going to be fine if we, it's all about strategy. We're going to nuke the hell out of them. They looked at this movie, which was toned down.
Right.
And the
television.
damage wasn't even nearly what it would have been. Like later on, they said that, it got a lot of criticism from critics that the damage wasn't as bad as it would have been. You know what I mean? The damage would have been way worse in a real nuclear attack. They said we had to make it less damaging so that the characters would live so we could have a story, you know? And anyway, so, I mean, that movie, to think about
and
a
also
TV
so they
movie.
could get it on TV.
Yeah, on TV, right?
Yes.
Imagine, I don't know, I just can't imagine in the theater if they would have been able to. Anyway, the last thing was, I remember watching the special effects in this movie. I watched it in it was either a history class or a film class at KU. And I remember the special effects being like very cheesy looking. They were absolutely state of the art in 1983. Like they spent a ton of money on the nuclear explosions.
Well, also they wouldn't look. Special effects are just not going to look as good on a whatever you watched it on, which probably smaller not than a movie screen. It's just not.
Yeah, and back then,
of course they weren't that good. I mean,
and back then, if you're loaded, you got a 27-inch TV in 1983, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think a big regular old TV then was 26 inches.
Yeah, I mean, you're rolling.
Right.
You're rolling deep with a 27-inch. Okay, so I asked you if Alan Alda was a dick.
Yeah, we were kind of discussing the fact that seemed to be the vibe.
I was completely 100,000% wrong.
Yeah, because I did say that I don't know, maybe then, but I think that I did say that I think as time has gone on, he's certainly been a very well-respected man. So I don't know, but maybe at the time he was considered a bit of a wise guy. But I think within the industry, I think he was respected. Is that correct?
I could not find anything ever bad said about the man. Okay,
there you go.
And the amount of charity work that I'm not even going to try to list it. It's so extensive. He's just a wonderful human being. I want to apologize to Alan Alda and his family for even saying he might be a dick. Because of course he listens. Now Chevy Chase, on the other hand,
yeah, I think I may have said he was a dick.
He is definitely a dick. You were correct about that. Okay, so here's what I had to pare it down, but basically they said he's the sort of guy that finds the little thing that you're unconfident about, like, be it like a pimple on your nose or something.
Or you have big ears.
Yes, right? And will just go after you until you just feel like you're an inch tall. Bill Murray, when he was asked about him, said, and this isn't a quote, but it's a paraphrase. He said, when you get famous, you become a dick. It happens to everybody. And he says, you got about 2 years to pull out of it or it's permanent. And Chevy never pulled out of it. So I guess backstage at SNL, he would just make people cry. One time an intern came in and spilled a little bit of Coca-Cola, and it was right in front of Lauren. And he's like, why don't you just effing piss in it? To this intern. This intern just starts crying and, like, runs away.
Wow.
I mean, that's the kind of guy that, I mean, that's just never called for.
Well, that probably, I mean, he plays kind of a dick most of the time.
Yeah, in a funny way.
Right. I mean, there's a sort of real undertone that he's not a nice guy while he's being funny.
Yeah, that he plays he's cooler than everybody else, or he's the least cool guy. Like, it's like one or the other, right? I mean, you've got Vacation, you got Fletch. Anyway, you used the word efficacious a bunch last time, and I was wondering why that was, and I looked it up. And it's because they talk about it with the vaccines on the news all the time. Probably. So it was top of my, I think so at least. So efficacious means successful in producing a desired or intended result.
Yes.
It's effective, efficacious. Right?
Yes.
It's just a TIOS on the end. Okay. I was talking about this stand-up comedian last time, and God, did I cringe listening to myself because I kept saying Maloney, and it's Mulaney. It's John Mulaney.
John Mulaney, yeah.
Of course, now you know who it is.
I would have known who it is.
I'm so bad with names. Anyway,
Maybe
he's
you
great.
should have had an Imperial IPA before that.
That'd have been great.
Yes.
Just got to even me out, Danny.
Right. That is right.
Right as rain. Okay, we talked about miniseries, and we were talking about Roots and what was the first miniseries. So the first miniseries was in the spring of 1974, and it was on CBS, and it was an 8-part serial called The National Dream. It was based on Pierre... What's that?
No
recollection?
No recollection.
It got really good ratings. It was based on Pierre Berton's nonfiction book of the same name. And it was about the building of the Canadian Pacific Railway. So
I have zero.
Sounds like some riveting shit, eh?
I think. I mean, the first big one I remember was that it was a Fathers and Son. No, that wasn't what it was called.
Yes, it was. Yes, I
something like that. If it's not Fathers and Sons, but it's
something like that. Yeah, because I read all these, the ones that came
Rich
afterwards.
Man, Poor Man.
Yes, Rich Man, Poor Man. There it is.
There
Yeah,
it is. Rich Man, Poor Man. That's what I thought might have been the first one.
So after this one, they started adapting books basically into the miniseries. And that Lonesome Dove is the first one I remember when I was a kid, right? And so that was a big thing they started to do, and it took off. It was CBS, not ABC, because ABC's a garbage network, right?
Right, and I think Rich Man, Poor Man helped kind of push ABC forward.
It was on ABC. That's right.
Nick Nolte.
Look at you.
Who's the other guy?
Nick Nolte's a goddamn American treasure.
He was the ne'er-do-well. He was the ne'er-do-well. He was a treasure at one point.
Isn't Nick Nolte in Point Break with Two Utah? Were you talking about the meatball sandwiches?
I don't know.
Oh my God, Danny! Point Break is a
Nick Nolte for me is North Dallas 40s is one of his high points for me.
I bought that book. It's on my night. It's coming up. I'm 2 books away from reading that.
It is a good book. It is a good book.
Hopefully. Last time I said, Danny, you're golden, pony boy.
You're what?
You're golden, pony boy.
Oh, you're golden, pony boy.
Do you know what that's from?
No.
Really?
Sounds like Top Gun-ish to me, which would be appropriate because the other one's coming out.
I don't like you, Iceman. You're dangerous. No, it's from The Outsiders. Do you remember The Outsiders?
I do remember it. I don't know if I saw it.
So we had to read the book in 8th grade.
I think,
right?
and I don't think it was required reading when I was going to school.
Well, so we watched the movie in 8th grade, and here are the stars that were in that movie.
I think there were some big people in it.
When they were kids, some of them, it's their first movie. C. Thomas Howell, Matt Dillon, La Bamba, also known as Ralph Macchio. Oh, wait, no, that's not La Bamba. That's Karate Kid.
Right.
Patrick Swayze, The Sways. That beautiful piece of man candy. You got Rob Lowe, okay?
Wow.
Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise, Leif Garrett.
Good gravy.
Yeah. All as like little kids. I mean, they're, teenage boys.
Well, who's C. Thomas Howell that I've heard of, and he was like he's the slum dog there.
La Bamba, I didn't put on here, but La Bamba's in it too. You know who I'm talking about?
Yes, but I think you're not getting it right. Who played?
Yeah, the guy that played La Bamba.
Richie Valens.
Yeah, he played Richie Valens.
I can't remember who it was.
It's a joke between me and my friends. Every time we see that guy in anything, we're like, hey, that's La Bamba. Okay. So this is I'm going to love this. And I had to pare it way down because it would have gone on forever. The Pony Express.
Oh, yeah.
Remember we talked about this?
Sure.
So I was right. It was around for 18 months.
Wow. I thought on the podcast you said like 6 months.
Well, maybe you said 18 months.
I don't know. You'll have to fact check the fact check. I thought it was a little. I think maybe you said something that was less than a year.
I think I said 11 months and you said 18.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So anyway,
okay, fine. You win. Then,
it didn't stay.
Danny.
I don't have to win. It didn't. It certainly wasn't around very long. That's all.
Not only are you rich and famous, you also are right on the Pony Express. Not all of us can be Danny Clinkscale. Okay, so it was around for 18 months. It was in 1861, so you were right about the year also.
Well, I think that basically whoever started it, wished there wasn't a transcontinental railroad.
That's not what it was. You're close, though.
Really?
Yeah, so...
That didn't kill it?
No. So I had said they went bankrupt, which is true, and they were bankrupted by the telegraph.
Really?
Yes. So the route went from Missouri to California, and they called it the Pony Express because the guy that started it bought smaller horses that were more like ponies. It was his strategy. I don't know why.
They could go faster.
I guess. I don't know.
Because they changed horses all the time.
Yes, but wouldn't a bigger, more powerful horse go fast? I don't know how horses
I think it
work.
would just go. I think it would just go farther. Maybe.
Wouldn't you get more horsepower out of a bigger horse?
I think I don't remember. Oh, Jerry Seinfeld has a bit all about horses, and you should just Google it and look it up. The whole thing's funny. It's about riding horses and horses at the racetrack, and that they wouldn't have much giddy up if they know they were going to get shot. But one of the things what was the fact?
That they were smaller horses,
Right.
and I thought maybe bigger horses would have more horsepower.
Oh yeah, he talks about horsepower. He's like, why, when we're talking about NASA rockets, do we put it in terms of horsepower?
24 million horses
Right.
cannot. 24 million horses can't pull a rocket to space.
Right. So it's an incredibly funny bit. I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah,
I think he is a remarkably underappreciated stand-up comedian. I think we might have talked about it in the last podcast.
Yeah,
as
for a
matter of fact.
gazillionaire.
Right,
But
but I think he's just not. I don't think people remember that's what he made his chops as. You know?
Maybe not. I mean, the beginning of the show. Always started
now
with
he's
some-
obviously tours and packs, nice houses
Yeah.
like the Midland or whatever at
Yeah.
big money. But anyway,
Okay, so the route went from Missouri to California. The riders were paid triple what a skilled carpenter would make at the time, right? So if you're a 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid, like, yeah, I'm going to be part of this adventure, and they're going to pay me triple what I can.
well, yeah, except you would have to go dashing through Indian country.
Exactly. It was very dangerous. Yeah.
Not that they weren't unprovoked, but oh, look at that white guy coming through here at speed. Something could be a foul.
Something's going on here. So they would make it. How many days do you think it would take them to make it from St. Joe, Missouri to Sacramento?
I used to know this, but
I mean, it's a long ways, right?
I'm going to guess
St. Joe to Sacramento.
that would be, I would think, about 2,000 miles. Maybe.
2 mountain ranges.
Right. I'm going to say, because they were, going for speed, 16 days.
Close. It was 10 days. They do it in 10 flipping days,
That's
Danny.
pretty good.
Okay. You know how long it took a telegraph to travel that far?
Probably 10 seconds.
Yeah. Not long.
The only thing is that, that getting a letter
Yeah.
certainly would be nicer than getting a telegram.
Not then. Because everybody got letters. It was like a, it was like a modern marvel. I got a telegraph, right?
Yeah, but it would be like terse, and usually a telegram. I don't think a telegram wouldn't. It would just say something.
Oh yeah, it's not. You're not. My love, I long for the
right. It's
smell
not,
of your
it's
bosom.
not going to be like 4 pages of elaborately written
Uh-huh.
prose. I mean, you read some of those things that, like, when they do the documentaries, and it's like that Abe Lincoln would write to his lady or something, and it's like. This is like amazing. This, people would laugh if they put it on the screen in a scene.
Oh my God, SNL did a skit one time, and they were doing like the juxtaposition between Civil War soldier riding home,
right.
and a modern soldier riding home. And so, like, the Civil War soldiers, this flowery language about oh, I can't wait to this and I can't even do it, and then the modern soldier would be like, yo, send me a picture of your boobs.
Right. Lonely here. Gotta work something out.
So, there's a great book, a memoir from the Afghanistan war called Blood Will Make the Grass Grow Green.
Right.
I recommend it to anybody that likes books, period. I mean, it's great. And it's a really
Nonfiction.
easy read, yeah. Okay, and it talks a lot about him jerking off in Afghanistan.
Well, why, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,
Okay.
What are you going to do? It's boring, too.
Well, that was the number one thing from the book, is like he talked about how boring soldiering can be. He's like, it seems so adventurous. And there would be these like moments of like crazy adrenaline terror, and then days of just boredom.
Weeks of nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so the trip that we just...
By the way, this is an epic fact.
The trip that we just said took 10 days.
No, that wasn't a negative comment.
Okay, sounds good. You give me a complex sometimes, Danny. So the trip that took 10 days for the Pony Express, it took months for everybody else, right?
Oh, I'm sure. And they were probably going by wagon.
Yeah, by wagon. That's what I mean. By wagon.
Oh,
and Danny...
They were, at least according to the movies I've seen. I mean, these guys were at full sprint most of the time, and I don't think they rested very much.
No, I mean they were killing horses like crazy.
I mean, I'm sure.
Go. There's a great podcast I listen to. It's called Stuff You Should Know, and some people hate it, some people love it. I've been listening to it for a decade. It was the first podcast that got gigantic. Like it's got millions and millions of, hundreds of millions of downloads. And they do an episode on...
Like this one.
Yeah. They do an episode on the Pony Express, and it's really, really good. It does a good job. But that concludes our fact check, buddy.
Send me that.
I will send you that.
That sounds good. So are we committed to rating 3 beers every time, or is that going to be optional?
I mean, if we make it only 2, that's fine.
Right. And
we make it 4, that's also fine.
Right. We'll save it for the next one. So we'll see what's up next after the Defiance with Friends. Yes, Defiance with Friends draws
good.
a 7-point. Well, in my case, it was good.
Well, see, you didn't talk enough then. That's the problem.
That seldom is the case on Thirsty Thursdays, Sense and Nonsense.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from WreckExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit RecExpert.com and learn more. We're here with Michael Barber, the CEO and founder of Microlight Corporation of America, the world leaders in laser therapy. And Michael, tell us a little bit about your product.
Our device is using a particular wavelength and power to reduce pain and swelling. My background is surgical lasers, but I've been involved with this particular device now for about the last 20 years, actually.
And I know that it works because I've had it used on me as well. And tell us about the relationship you have with your company and Canaway.
It's what I call a strategic business relationship in that Canaway, the leader in the field of the cannabinoid systems and CBD oil, but our device used in conjunction with Canaway CBD oil gives a better pain relief outcome for the patient.
And if you want to get that pain relief outcome like I did, you can reach their local representative, Sherry McCants, at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312.
Hey everyone, this is Matt Llewellyn for the 23rd Street Brewery. Thank you so much for supporting local restaurants, especially through this pandemic. And you know what? We're almost through it. At the 23rd Street Brewery, we have brought in a few more tables. You can wear a mask if you want, or not. It's your choice. Other than that, we're open 11:30 every single day. So come see us at the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence.
We're here once again with Dr. Brad Woodall from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Springtime, good weather's finally here. People want to stay active, and it's your job to make sure that they can stay active, and be healthy.
Danny, we see a lot of not just weekend warriors, but people that every day are having that want to get back to activity. Whether you're starting with walking, jogging, or maybe that first 5K of the year, we want to help you out. We specialize in taking care of all ages, from kids all the way to grandmas and grandpas, but absolutely specialize in getting you back to full function and keeping you in great shape.
So in short, how do we go about doing that?
The first thing is to schedule a consultation with one of our doctors and therapists so we can see how you move and how you're supposed to move. Based on our assessment, we can put together a short treatment plan and a set of goals to help you both feel better, function better, and most importantly, stay better for this year and many years to come.
Learn more at asfca.com/Danny. That's asfca.com/Danny.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Ooh, that was a good one. That was a good one. It just saying that made me think of my little sister. She's just a hoot. She'd say something like that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she's the funniest born-again Christian in the world.
You always say that. I need to meet this gal.
She's a spitfire. You know, I think I mentioned this the last time, and welcome back, by the way, folks. I saw an ultimate Frisbee play made top 10, Sports Center top 10 today.
Really?
Yeah. And
Is there a league?
Yeah, there's a professional. There was, I mean, like the guy says at the end of this great catch, and that's going to be on Sports Center. And so they were broadcasting it. For those who are uninitiated, ultimate Frisbee is sort of basically a combination of Frisbee, football, soccer, kind of. I mean, you can't travel. I mean, you just have to advance the Frisbee totally by passing.
Well, yeah, so it's kind of like handball without the 3 steps.
Right. Anyway, it's a combination.
Everybody knows all the handball rules, right?
It's a combination of all kinds of things. And we better, before we forget.
Yeah, what are we trying here, Danny?
So anyway, I think I mentioned this before. My sister is now 50 years old. She's my youngest sister. And she's an avid athlete, as I am, and we exchange athlete stories all the time. And she, on her lunch break, plays ultimate Frisbee.
Oh, my gosh, that sounds like so much fun, dude.
With people like half her age all the time.
I would love to find an ultimate Frisbee league.
We played it in college. I haven't played it since. It's a remarkably fun game.
So fun.
I mean, you have to run your ass off. But this one particular catch today was like, what's cool about it, it was almost like a soccer-like play to it. It was almost like a through ball, this guy, and the Frisbee hangs in the air. This guy, from the time the guy released it to when he caught it for a touchdown in the quote-unquote end zone, he must have covered 40 yards while it was in the air.
A through disc?
Yeah, through disc.
What are we going to try here, Danny?
Well, this was your suggestion, so
You've
this
removed the tab.
Yes, I did. So you don't remove the tab.
I don't. No, I crinkle where my thumb goes directly in front of the opening.
Okay.
And see, that's where everybody knows this is my beer. See.
Aha. Well, they know it's my beer by the fact there's
there
no
you
tab
go.
on it. This is a Great Divide Roadie Grapefruit Rattler.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Oh. Ooh. That is dangerously good. Holy
that is good. Wow, that is good.
Wow.
That is, and this is another example of the fact that.
Well, there's more grapefruit actually than I thought there would be.
I would say, yeah, there's this. Ordinarily, when it's these beers, especially if it's a beer, espouse the fact that they have fruit in them. Sometimes you can hardly taste it. Now, this, you can get the real essence of the grapefruit, but it still tastes like a beer.
This is like a summer shandy's only grapefruit.
You know how you can tell it's a shandy-ish beer?
There's a guy riding a bike on it?
Well, there's a guy riding a bike on it. There also is no indication of the alcohol content, which means it's low.
Which I appreciate after the Elysian.
The Imperial IPA. Right. So here's a little, in case you didn't know, I mean, if they only put the alcohol content on there when they're bragging. Really?
No, really?
Oh, yeah. No,
okay, you go first. I scored first last time. You score this first.
All right, I'm going to take another sip.
All right. I'll gladly join you.
I've got to go over 8 with this one. I'm going to go 8.1.
I'm 9.2.
You like this shandy-ish beer.
I do. This is so good. I'm going to have to find this, Danny.
This is very refreshing.
This could be my new boat beer.
Because you were just Joe has started this by doing the pick your own 6-pack.
Yeah.
So you have to find.
Now I'm going to have to find. I can, Ryman's is good. They'll bring it in for me.
Well, there's a little plug for your store.
So listen, we just tried those beers, and when I will listen back on the podcast,
He's going to make a spreadsheet.
For the spreadsheet and for the fact check, I have to listen back. I have a problem listening to other people eat and other people drink.
So how do I rate?
Oh, Danny, you're terrible.
What?
Oh, it's called misophonia, and I got a genetic test from.
Wow. So it's watching or hearing or watching.
It's all audible. I can't sit and eat dinner with my family. Like, I cannot stand hearing people chew or drink or type. Like, on commercials when they do the fake, typing. Oh, I mean, it's like nails. It's literally nails on a chalkboard. And I always thought that I was just intolerant.
How did you watch All the President's Men?
Well, that I can handle typewriter.
Oh, okay.
It's keyboard. I don't know why.
Oh, I see. So that this rattling typewriter was fine.
It's just the clickiness sounds like teeth going together, I think.
Right.
And so, okay. So
it's
I always
an actual affliction.
Yes, I always thought I was intolerant. And then I got the genetic test, like the 23andMe thing, and with the health thing, right? Because I'm always worried about my health. And it came back and it said that I have the genetic marker for misophonia. And then I looked up misophonia, and I'm like, this is what it is. So and my dad's the same way. My dad used to be like, stop slurping your cereal. You'd be on my ass all the time about eating my kicks wrong.
Close your mouth when you chew.
Exactly. And, I've stopped telling my kids to do that because it's not a them problem.
Right.
It's a me
So is there anything you can do for it?
Nope.
There's not a little drug you can take? Or...
Well, I mean,
so you just grind your teeth and fight on?
Yes. And so business meetings, it's really tough. I don't take a lot of lunches with people. I do coffee because I can handle coffee, or I'll do a happy hour or something. And they'll be like, you want to get some food? And I'm like, no, I'm okay.
Wow. That's a tough one.
Well, think about it. When we first met, we never went to lunch. We never went out for food. Now, partially that's because you don't eat.
I don't eat dinner, so. But anyway.
So anyway, I thought that was interesting because when we had the pickle tasting episode a year ago, if you're new to the podcast, we did a pickle taste.
We did Vegemite too. That's the thing about.
Oh, the Vegemite was the worst. I was like, I can't listen.
That's the thing we're going to have to. I don't know. We can't purposely do it, but we're going to have to at some point have a bad, beer that we say this sucks.
Oh, it'll just happen.
Well, maybe, but you're picking beers. I think you're in a quality beer, establishment. It might be hard. Now, once upon a time, when I lived in Lawrence and I was doing Royals post game, I used to get home from the ballpark back to Lawrence quite late, and it would be 12:30 or something, and so before I went home, I would go to Old Chicago in Lawrence and have a beer and play a game of Golden Tea to wind down.
Yeah, down there they had a good tap selection.
They did. Well, they also had a Wall of Fame. If you drank all the beers that they had 100 and something 8 beers.
Yeah.
Not all of them were on tap, but they had a selection of over 100. And I think I got to about 70 that I'd had.
Wow.
And then at that point, I was...
And that was just a week, right?
And at that point, first of all, I was kind of saying that I don't know, maybe if I want to be on the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
If I want to be on the Hall of Fame.
Is this the place I want my picture?
And then I think the clincher was they had, I think it was called a chili beer, and it had a pepper in it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say it had chili in it, like the soup.
It was something worse. I can't quite
remember.
Like a
habanero? Or?
No, it wasn't. It was something horrible. It was a beer that had some horrible thing in it. Maybe not a chili. I don't know what it was. And it was probably the worst thing I've ever tasted. And I said, I've
Worse than Vegemite? Oh, wait, no, you liked Vegemite.
I didn't like it.
Oh, you loved it.
I didn't eat it subsequently, and we threw it out. I abided it. But anyway, I can't remember exactly what. I think it was a chili beer, and I think it did have a chili pepper in it.
Huh.
And it was bad. It was really, and I thought, that's where we're getting to here in this wall of foam. I'm going to have to fight through these other ones. And then also, I don't even know if I really want to be on the wall of foam. So I stopped. So I'm not on the wall of foam and that old Chicago and Lawrence.
Oh, it's called the Wall of Foam.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes.
I thought you misspoke.
No.
That's funny.
No, I've only had 2 beers. I'm not going to misspeak.
Well, I mean,
yet.
That the listeners know about. All right, here's the deal. You promised hard we were going to talk about this top 5 bands topic. Now, we're going to do one thing before that, and then we're going to finish with that. Does that sound good?
Sure. That sounds fine.
So last time, now it's been 3 weeks. Last time, it was so funny because we talked about the Royals and about how they were doing so great. And we were talking playoffs.
3 weeks ago, or at least that they were relevant.
Yeah, no, we were talking like, well, they got maybe a shot and this and that, and they're looking pretty good. And my God, how quickly it changes.
And then baseball's a funny game. They play all this crap baseball. Mondesi gets hurt again. And then they have upcoming series against the Red Sox and the Yankees. And as of when we're taping this, which is on Wednesday, they've taken 4 out of 5 against those 2 teams. Baseball's just a funny game.
That's actually what I wanted to talk about, is how funny baseball is in that way. Like, because it's a day-to-day sport. Petro always talks about how it's this many baseball games equals a football game. And I don't remember what it is, right? It's
10.
17 games or something like that.
It's 100.
Oh, no, it's 10. Yeah, it's 10.
162,
10. Yeah.
and basically a 16-game season now, 17, so 10.
So it's been 3 weeks, so they've played
3 football games.
Yeah. Well, they haven't even played.
They played 3 terrible football games during that.
Yeah, well, they haven't even played that many, though. It's been 3 weeks. In football, it'd be 3 games. They haven't played 30 games in 3 weeks.
Oh, that's true. Good point.
Right?
Yeah, it's about 2 games.
Yeah.
So it is only 2 games, so you lose 2 games. It's bad, but it's not a disaster.
Yeah, so it's so funny that you have to put it into perspective, and it's so hard in the moment because they just look so freaking terrible sometimes.
Well, I think that, now the Royals, as I said before, Wednesday night's game were 33-38. I think they're kind of fortunate to be 33-38.
I do too.
I don't think they've really played like 33-38. They certainly have the roster to be better than 33-38. They've had some injuries. Dayton Moore talked about it this week. And they've had 2 of players who were really supposed to be like not just decent players, like really good players, just suck.
Yep.
Like be the awful in Soler and Hunter Dozier.
Yeah.
So.
And Witt's not playing that great.
But
and to be fair, you've been consistent on this. It's neat. I think that it's really cool that you're very consistent on this. You've been very metered and consistent on the Royals. I think that you're one of the most metered and consistent media voices in this city on the Royals. You do not get swayed so easily as others do. You know what I mean? Like it's. I think maybe it's because you're not a fan.
My wife wrote the bio on the website. You can go there and it says "known as the voice of reason." So just in case I didn't write that,
I'm not trying to stroke your ego too much here because I don't need to hear it.
But the voice
you know
of
what
reason,
I mean?
or a sort of more intellectual approach to a sport, is a low bar to leap.
Yes, it is. But also you're just not a born blue Royals fan, which helps. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean that helps.
And I like the Royals. This is a lot of people don't. I'm just a pragmatic, fact-based person, and also I've always been into the statistical side of baseball. I actually love statistics, and
You're
I
a
love
BABIP guy,
and I love baseball. Not really that much, but I mean, I've always even liked just even before that stuff was really trendy and everything. I just liked all of the numbers of baseball. It's a wonderful aspect of what the game is.
So let me ask you a question that just came to mind with that. So you're a numbers guy.
Yes.
I think there needs to be fewer games. I think there needs to be significantly fewer games.
The problem
and a shorter season. And
I think you're absolutely right. But it's just not feasible. They're just not going to do it.
I know, but take the finances.
And part of it's not even the finances. Part of it is the historical nature of the game. But they at least can, and I'm not saying I agree with it.
But this is what I'm talking about.
But at the very least, what they could have done before and probably would have made people happy. Baseball was played at 154 games for a long time.
Yeah.
So at least they could have done that. I think they at very least could have gone to 154, get you another week.
But the thing I want to ask you is, let's say they played 120 games, okay? Let's just
over the same span of time?
No, over a much shorter period of time.
So still, baseball would be a daily game.
Daily sport.
That is one. Okay. It is still. That is one of the attractions of it.
Yeah, I think you could take, say, one weekday game out or something like that, right? Make it a little bit less of a daily sport, but still a daily sport. Make sure that you always have a game Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right?
Right.
I'm just asking you this honestly, as a guy that's a stats guy and a history guy with baseball. If they did that, and then we just converted all the stats to percentages based on, games played and all that. So we didn't use the counting stats anymore. We used percentage home runs per game for Babe Ruth rather than total home runs. Would you be able to at some point accept that as okay? Because I think it would be good for baseball.
I would absolutely accept it, but I think that a lot of people wouldn't. And there are milestone things that are, have always been in the game, but part of the point right now is the fact that some of those things are going away anyway. Nobody's probably going to win 300 games anymore, which was a
probably is what you're going to use now.
I'm going all the way to probably, and I'm close to. I don't think I ever went like 16 seeds. Never.
Curtis is never never.
I'm a pretty close to a hard never too. I think I may have said at one point or another never, because it's just. That's 15 years of winning 20 games, and people just don't go deep enough in games to win that many. I mean, Jacob deGrom is probably going to win the Cy Young Award for the third consecutive year for the Mets, and I think he's going to win probably a total of maybe 45 games in those 3 years.
Do you think if you took 5 starts a year away from those pitchers, they could last longer and the greats would have a chance? Because instead of 20 over 15, they could do, well, what's the math? I mean, over 20 years, because they're not playing as many games and as much wear and tear.
Yeah, but that just means they wouldn't be playing as many games and they couldn't get as many wins.
But they'd play longer, 5 more years.
Probably not. I don't think in this
less wear and tear.
Well, in this day and age, they just throw the ball so hard, and there's so much. A human body was not meant to pitch a baseball overhand anyway.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And especially not throwing it 100 miles an hour.
I just think, I'm just looking at the NBA playoffs, and they've made the NBA playoffs so long, and they've destroyed it with replay. Like, it's not as compelling.
Did you watch the Monday night game?
Is this the Bucks game?
No, the Suns game.
Yeah. The one that took
it took over a half an hour. Over half an hour to play, and I was watching it. I tweeted it out too.
I thought this was Tuesday night.
It was Tuesday night. You're
okay,
right.
thank
Tuesday
you.
night. Yes, I'm sorry. The days all run together since COVID started. And I work every day, so it doesn't really matter. It took over a half an hour to play a minute and a half.
Yeah.
We saw the official over and over and over. And what could have been, and
compelling.
You wonder why people just want to watch NBA highlight packages. There were 7 or 8 significant plays in the last minute and a half. So who wouldn't want to watch that in 2 minutes?
As it should have been on television.
As
it should have been on television. And, it just goes, I'm sorry, I don't want to go too cultural here. It goes to the cultural, whiny-ass situation we're in where it's not fair. It bounced off of that guy and not me.
Right.
Well, you know what? Score a couple of buckets in the first quarter and it doesn't matter.
Right, and also some of the things are just, they're not outrageous. We're not talking about things that are outrageous.
Hits a guy's shorts and this and that.
Booker, I mean, clearly that was an accurate call when he still had the ball in his hand when it was poked away. But in any game you ever played, in the pickup game, in that game, everybody would have been cool with the fact that Beverly tipped it out of bounds. But anyway, that's
these guys go play pickup games in the offseason. What happens on the playground when these guys are out playing pickup games. I mean, you hear about these NBA guys getting together and playing these pickup games. Are they going to the monitor? No. They know what's up. Just move along. It's an entertainment. People take sports too seriously. I know we need to get on to this, but people take sports too seriously. It's not life and death. Just move along.
It's an entertainment.
Move along.
Well, probably a big portion of the problem, and this is probably a topic for another day. You can write it down for a fact check.
Okay.
People have large sums of money riding on these games. And they...
No shit. That's what it is.
I think
That's a great point, Danny. Dadgummit.
I think that is it, to be honest.
First of all, I complimented you earlier, and then you make a good point. I mean, you're just going to walk out of here walking on air, buddy.
Right. What's Ric Flair's thing that he says?
Woo! Woo! All right.
Is that the dumbest thing?
No, it's not. It's amazing, and I do it at work all the time. Okay, so we're going to talk about... So I came up with this stupid topic... and texted you about.
It's not a stupid topic. It's just.
I think it's
an interesting topic.
Okay, if you say so.
But it's an impossible topic.
Top 5 bands, and here's the criteria that I sent.
And this is for you, not that you're rating the top 5 bands of all time.
This is not saying who you should listen to. This is not trying to brag about your knowledge of bands and coming up with some obscure thing. This is just stuck on a desert island. You get to pick 5. You get their whole catalog. Which 5 are you going to pick, okay? And I'm going to give mine in no particular order. Do you have an order?
No, I don't, and I'll get into why I don't. So.
Okay. How do you want to do this? You want to go back and forth?
No, just do your list, and then we can
Okay,
discuss.
no. You do your list, and let's talk about it.
All right. Dire Straits / Mark Knopfler. Mark Knopfler has, obviously everybody knows he's my favorite, and he's done more solo albums by far now than Dire Straits albums, and I love them both, and they're rather different, but that's for sure. At one point in time, these next 2 bands were, and he would be, that artist and that band would be my desert island if you're stuck and you only can listen to the music of one person.
Just the one, that's your one.
Because it's a big catalog, and that's fine. But at other times, my desert island band was Steely Dan.
Steely Dan,
for sure, and they could move back into it because it's eclectic. There's a lot of different.
Yeah, and they'll just jam out on something,
and
give you something to just listen to.
And they have music that started off as almost sort of like just let's make the hits, and then it's jazzy, and then so they at one point were that, and then at another point the Cars. And they are
wow.
The Cars are actually probably moving back into not the desert island, but back. The more I listen back and hear the first 3 or 4 albums they did, the more I just love their music.
Do the Cars have a big enough catalog?
For a desert island, they probably don't. So they probably are never going to make it back to the desert island. No, their catalog isn't probably big enough.
This is illuminating. I like this.
And then I'll say The Who. I think of the big 3, Stones, Beatles, Who, I like The Who the best. And now the Rolling Stones, giant catalog, real diversity. I'll listen to that.
Superior band.
The Beatles are the most influential band in maybe the history of rock and roll music, but I'm probably not the biggest Beatles fan in the world.
You know what? I will respect that Who call that you made, and it fits in with the rest of these bands. Like
and
the Outsider.
Then the guilty pleasure band, my guilty pleasure band, probably people know this, and it's 38 Special.
Oh,
absolutely.
Got to hold on loosely, but don't let go, baby.
And then they have Fantasy Girl is the best song, but they have so. I saw them at the year that I did the trip that I wrote about in my book, Leaving Kansas for the Circus. I wanted to do another little trip, and I had a handy excuse because 38 Special, who I saw at John Knox Village about 15 years ago.
Oh, we talked about that, yeah.
Met them. Great guys, actually.
Isn't the lead singer like 1,000 miles tall? Isn't he a huge dude?
No, actually, who?
The lead singer. Isn't he gigantic?
No.
38 Special?
No, it's Ronnie Barnes is the...
Who am I thinking of, then?
Probably one of the Van Zants. There was a Van Zant in 38 Special. There's no big man in there. And I think I just got the lead singer. His name is Barnes, but I think I may have gotten his first name wrong, which is ridiculous. Maybe I should have another IPA. So they are my guilty. And they have, I saw them at the Southeast Missouri County Fair about in 2015.
Man, that is a fantastic.
And they have so many songs that you know.
Don't realize that it's them.
Well, in the middle of the set, they do a medley.
Yeah,
because they don't have enough time.
Don't got enough time to
do
run
all their songs that you would be familiar with.
Do you have any honorable mentions?
And then I'm going to put 2 newer artists in just to sound a little more current. I'm a big fan of the War on Drugs.
Don't know them.
Well,
I'll check it out.
Check it out. And we found out that we are both fans of Jake Bugg.
Oh, Jake Bugg's my dog. Absolutely. He's not making my list, but yeah, Jake Bugg's great if you don't know Jake Bugg. First EP was very Dylan. Got a little more rocking after that.
He's rockabilly-ish, and he's got a very unique voice.
He's folksy.
And
he's
sings in most British acts sound like American when they sing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Beatles don't sound they're from England, and Jake Bugg sounds like he's from the British Isles.
You're not going to,
he has a fast
American
song that's Lightning Bolt, and he Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Bolt. Right.
So anyway, but what the overall arching point of this is that if I started to make a list, it could be 50 bands.
I hear you. And so what I did,
it's an impossible. It's a fool's errand, but it's a fun fool's errand.
Yes, and I enjoyed it because I had to pare it down. I've been keeping this list on my phone because I've long held that Led Zeppelin's the most superior band in the history of rock and roll. I think
I probably should have said the big 4.
I think they're the best and most influential band next to the Beatles, and I'll give it to the Beatles even though I loathe Beatles fans. I don't mind the Beatles. I loathe Beatles fans.
I think that people. Yes, I know where you're going. That if that they're dismissive of all other. Gigantic
as if they also didn't steal everything. Oh, Led Zeppelin there's all covers on their first album. Oh, really? Let's go back and look at them Beatles
Twist
albums.
And shout.
Okay. Yes. Twist and steal. That's what I like to say. Okay. So, here's mine. Are you ready?
I'm very ready.
So, my desert island band, and I mean, it took a lot to pare it down. It's Radiohead. Radiohead's my desert island band.
My oldest daughter is a gigantic Radiohead.
Never seen them live. It's on my list this year to make it happen. I mean, I when I wrote my thesis in college, I would put it on and just write to it, and I would like have headphones on, and I would like sing it with headphones on, and my wife would take videos of me because I look like a fool doing it. Anyway, it's my concentration music when I'm working in spreadsheets. I just love it. And they've got a huge catalog. Okay, so Radiohead's 1. That's my desert island. Then I'm going to go Van Morrison.
Even though he's a dick?
Is he a dick?
Oh, this is a good
I think he murdered a couple guys
like
one time.
Dick.
Well,
like dismissive of his entire band during concerts.
Well, whatever. Van Morrison is a goddamn American treasure, okay?
Except he's not American.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I hope you knew that.
I did. It's just a phrase I like to use, Danny, and it's the end of the podcast.
Okay.
Okay. Speaking of an American treasure, Tom Petty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, this is
massive catalog, so great.
Absolutely,
His
positively.
XM station.
No, I could insert him in my list so easily.
And then I'm going to go.
I'm glad that our lists are different, but we are generally agreeing. My daughter is a big Radiohead, but it's a little harsh for me.
Yeah, it takes the right moment in your life to do that. So, okay,
but
number 4, I'm going to go. You probably don't know who this is. If you like country music, you'll know who it is. It's Eric Church.
Of course I know Eric Church.
Okay, gigantic catalog, fantastic live. My wife and I are flying out to Tahoe in August to see him when he's back on tour. I got 6th row tickets. It's going to be amazing. So Eric Church makes it in there for me. He's my country guy that makes it. And then So this is how funny.
Is this a guilty pleasure?
Eric Church?
No, the one that's coming up. You have the
No, it's just funny because the three, I'm going to give all three, and then I'm going to pick the one that made it. But
so
here's the
this is
three that made
honorable
it to the
mention.
bottom. Well, here's the three that made it to the bottom. I have to pick one to make my five. Lil Wayne, The Killers, and The Boss.
All good choices.
And so I've got to go on diversity of musical type. I'm going to go Lil Wayne over The Boss. I can't believe I just did it. I can't believe. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
I'm so sorry, Bruce Springsteen.
You know what?
I apologize. You know what?
I'm
I'm going to stick with it. I said
You know what this allows is that my social media post for this podcast just becomes more woke.
Well, listen, Lil Wayne.
And the Killers, we've gone through periods in my life, with my wife when we watch music and everything, where we've been so into the Killers, seen them live.
I've been to
They
multiple
were
shows.
Fantastic live.
I got-
although now the two of the really founding members are not in the band anymore.
Yeah.
And so
we can finish with this because we're running along. So I had a little brother, like big brothers, big sisters, little brother. And we used to always argue because I was a big Tupac fan growing up. He'd argue with me that Lil Wayne, his name was Jordan, loved him to death. Still in contact with him. He's 24 now and he's successful. And it was a great period of my life. And he's successful now. And he would always argue, it's Lil Wayne, it's Lil Wayne, it's Lil Wayne. And I'd be like, no, it's Tupac, it's Tupac, it's Tupac. And then, this is back in 2006 or 7 when we're having these arguments. And, I told him, I remember looking at 11-year-old Jordan and saying, Lil Wayne could cure cancer. And he's not going to be a better rapper than Tupac, okay? And he made it for me. I mean, he's amazing. So for me, that's my list. It's very hard. And I challenge anybody listening to really sit down with a pen and paper and write it because it's way harder than you think it would be.
It's impossible, and it also depends on right where you are
at that moment.
At a certain.
Because I didn't even mention Death Cab for Cutie, which is,
and I'm a big fan of them too.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, right.
Or Alt J. Alt J didn't
the
make
list
it. Alt J
could be 50, but this podcast probably is past 50 right now. So we will see you in a couple of weeks. We always think on Thirsty Thursdays, and we don't have bottles, so we'll just raise our glass to you.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klink Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Cinematic Visions, an affordable and award-winning solution for professional media production since 2003.